Hi, welcome to Lesson 8 of City Vision University's Nonprofit Educational Program Design course. In this week, we're going to be focusing on developing evaluation and retention plans. So the learning outcomes for this lesson is at the beginning, we want you to collect stakeholder feedback on your educational program plan to revise it. You're going to need to contact someone in your organization to get additional feedback. To teach a lesson to an audience using your lesson plan and to reflect on that experience. And then the final project component is going to be developing a retention and evaluation plan to improve your education program. Now, tying this back to the ADDIE model, this is week 8 is where you're going to be implementing. You're just implementing the lesson, and then you're going to be evaluating the lesson, but you're also going to be creating an evaluation plan for the whole program overall. So, what are the goals of a retention and evaluation plan? Now, nonprofits are usually fairly good about evaluation, but they don't use the word retention nearly as much as in the education circle. And I think that that's something that, nonprofit managers could use because it can be very helpful to look at, what are the stages where people are dropping out of your program? What's causing them to drop out at each stage? What can be done to address those factors? It'd be, I think a lot of organizations, what they do is they can say, okay, here's our success rate, but they're not drilling down to say, most people drop out in the first 3 months, and the reason why they drop out is because they, relapse in this way. And then, if you know very specifically what's happening, then you could figure out, what can be done to address that. And the other thing is, that can be helpful in a retention and evaluation plan is to track data across a variety of student characteristics to identify areas to improve or change the program, or to be able to show where improvements happened. So for instance, you might say, for those who came in, and this might be a characteristic if you're in a recovery program, you might track based on what their primary, drugs they were addicted to, and then see how your success rates are going. And you may find out that your success rates on, certain drugs are good and certain other drugs aren't. And, for instance, you might say we were violently against doing what's called medically assisted treatment for those who are on heroin. But then you might try a 6-month experiment to see, does that improve your success rates? And if it does, well, you might want to look at that in terms of a strategy, or it may not, right? So, but it's helpful to have, that philosophy. So, I'm going to use City Vision as a model, and I think that I would encourage you to create some type of funnel like this for your organization. So, for City Vision, we have those who are accepted into the program, those who start a course, those who complete a course, and we track the data. That's what these axes are. Those who graduate, and those who get a related job. And then what we do is we have a retention strategic plan with actions to improve each of these. So how are we improving from the time they start a course to complete one course? We've done a lot around our new student orientation and student services, and complete one course to matriculated, where they've taken, 4 courses usually, and then matriculated to graduated. So there's things that we can do to improve each of those stages. And then it can also be helpful to do demographic analysis, to figure out if the success rate varies across different demographics: race, ethnicity, social class, gender. It could be age, or a demographic, if you're a recovery program, might be or it's just a characteristic, I guess, might be what drug their primary addiction was with. And then you can look at things like what's your program completion rates, relapse rate, jobs placement rates, and does that change? It would be significant if a different racial group had a very different success rate, and then you might look at why is that. It may be that you're serving a Spanish-speaking community, but you don't have enough Spanish-speaking staff or something. So you can look at details along those. And then you can also look at, is there a significant difference between the demographics of those in your programs and those in the community that you're trying to reach with your mission. The reason why I bring this up is often the most telling data isn't just your retention rate, it's who's actually coming into your program. So if you're in a community, say that's 95% African American, but your clientele is 95% white, that's saying there's some sort of mismatch probably in the culture. So you want to look at also that on the intake side of things, of what's happening there. So City Vision has done this pretty extensively. We look at all these factors: demographics, financial aid, number of transfer credits, and then also we collect a lot of information when people leave. We have them fill an exit form. We try to call the interview. We try to assess their reason for leaving to understand. And, we did different things, as an organization. So we looked at what's the difference between our Pell students and our loan students and our self-pay, and we took actions. So we did this analysis about 4 years ago. And because of this, because of the students we serve and because of our mission, we stopped participating in the federal loan program. And what we saw is there's a large number of students that were more interested in getting the loans than they were in taking the courses. So then student success by transfer credits, we found that there's a much higher success if people transfer in with credit. So we've been doing things. One is we're trying to recruit more students who have transfer credits, but the second is we're investing more in courses and support for students who come in with fewer transfer credits. And I would expect that this is going to change over time as we, increase our support. And then another one was we looked at student success by discount status. So we had discounts for rescue missions, international veterans, and these students are doing better, but we're giving a discount to interns where they're actually doing worse. And we actually decided to stop our internship program where we were recruiting interns. And then we said we'll still work with site recruited interns, and that addressed a lot of that problem. Now, we've also looked at student success by race. And if you look at the completion rate, there's very little, difference in completion rate. But with the GPA difference, I think there's things that we can do. A lot of folks, just because of educational systems from K to 12 are, there's a lot of inequities there. We need to do things to focus on addressing that, and also having more faculty and courses to improve outcomes. So that's just some examples. So in terms of the components of an evaluation and retention plan, so an evaluation plan, identify your formal and informal evaluation mechanisms. So formal would be things like tests and exams, and informal might be interviews. And then what you want to be able to do is see, where your course outcomes achieved, program outcomes achieved, and you also want to be able to test, a good theory of change. It's only a theory if you're able to experiment and see, is it proven, right? So then a retention plan is develop a list of action items to improve retention, identify stages in the retention funnel and how will you measure at each stage, identify demographics, identify why students drop out and the barriers that led them to them dropping out. So if you look at the final project plan this week, we have a lot of questions that relate to that. In the appendix, you can just any supplemental material you want to have there. And your bibliography in this should follow APA format whenever you submit the final bibliography. And there's instructions linked in the course introduction lesson on APA format. Now, one other thing to say is, in week 8, you're getting feedback from others on a rough draft of your plan, what you completed up to week 7. You should revise your plan based on their feedback and the feedback from faculty in this course so far. So it's been great having you in the course. Hopefully this has been really helpful. One of the things I would encourage you the most to do in this course is help spread the word, help spread the resources that we shared with you. We're trying to give you a lot of free resources, so please do what you can to share those with others in your organization and other organizations. So thanks a lot.